Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network, our 200th episode. Jim Stam, how you doing, brother?
200 got me thinking, how does that tie into the Pirates in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, that was almost their winning percentage for the first month, right?
Yeah, sadly. Best I got, we are the Freddie Sanchez of podcasts. 200 hits for Freddie Sanchez in 2006, last Pirate to do it. Prior to that, Jack Wilson at 201. Prior to that, the Cobra at 215. So we're going to pass those dudes. We're going to pass all these dudes. I know it.
I love it, man. And I named this episode We're Going Streaking for a lot of reasons. The Pirates are streaking. We're on our 200th episode. Taylor might be naked later when he does the Call Your Shot. I don't know. But we're going streaking. It's awesome. I think let's start with the Pirates, right? Man, this has been a lot of fun watching this team play. It's kind of like what would happen if every best case scenario in Ben Cherington's computer animation took place. All the best case scenarios of what this team was capable of all came together in a 6-game stretch and did exactly the best things they could do. That's what it felt like.
Well, I mean, look, you've got to be able to string some games together at certain points of the season. They hadn't really been able to do it up until this point. So it just was the perfect example of like when you get they got great pitching. Great pitching. The bats finally woke up, but then they even won a game 1-0 in there. Gary, I don't think Paul Skeens had a decision in this 6 games. So, it's just one of those things where you've got to build off of it. They've got this 9-game road trip coming up. Just to quit yourselves well. Don't lose the momentum, right? Like, okay, we know what they're up against this year. The math is the math, but keep building on it. That's all you can do at this point.
I started looking into it a little bit, and I mean, the first question I think a lot of people had, reasonably so, Jim, and I think it's one that anybody honest had. How sustainable is this? Like, okay, this is really nice to see. We're having a great time watching it. It's fun. Never, ever discount fun baseball, no matter where it came from, right? So We're enjoying it, but can it last? I start looking into the numbers a little bit, Jim, and I come to find, like, during this streak, they were only, like, middle of the road OPS-wise and average. It didn't get, like, tremendously better. It just got much better at, like, making sure that you moved runners around, and those singles added up because that's what everybody was hunting. This new line drive approach and early aggressiveness against pitchers, it's working right now.
Well, you have to know what you are, right? I mean, you don't just magically conjure up home runs. Yeah. You either can hit home runs as a team or you can't. Same with players individually. So just embracing what they are, which is a team that has to play, station to station, put the ball in play, be aggressive earlier in the counts, and let the chips fall where they may. Bullpen's been outstanding. I will say that. I mean, it just makes you wonder, like, where would they be had they just kind of started out with some of this approach and some of this mentality? Because even a 3 or 4 game difference right now, swinging it one way, is a big deal. So
Well, let me ask this, because I think during this whole thing, this great stretch of play, we're still kind of waiting on O'Neal Cruz to really take off, right? I mean, like, couple home runs in the one game. So, major contributor in that one game with the 2-2 run homers. And he's done okay. He's gotten a few base hits here and there. He's stolen bases. I thought the first run in the last game was important. He got to second base on a double and ran to third and set up that whole thing. And a very important run that I think kind of tightened the Cardinals' buttholes a little bit more even than they already were. So it's not like he hasn't done anything, but he hasn't been like carrying this offense the way we envisioned O'Neal Cruz would need to. And you know what? Brian Reynolds is hotter than he was, but not quite where we wanted him either. So when I start putting things in the sustainability bucket, I start thinking things like that. Like, those two guys aren't even doing what we kind of hope they can. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, obviously Cruz he's had his peaks and valleys, and hopefully he's going to come out of the valley that he's been in. You mentioned the two-run homer game. He affects the game in other ways, though. I think just getting more guys in the lineup every day, like Horwitz and Gonzalez, and the fact that they can give you more professional at bats. The Tommy Pham thing is interesting to me because even a bad player gets hot, so we'll see what happens with it. Rowdy did the same thing last year, right? He couldn't hit his way out of a wet paper bag, and then finally did, but then he kind of went back to not being very good. So we'll see about that. But they're just getting contributions. So I get what you're saying in the fact that this isn't O'Neal Cruz putting them on his back and them winning 6 games because he's otherworldly right now.
Right. I think that's what's kind of important to me. The other thing, man, is we've seen a lot of changes with Don. I mean, I do think that he's completely eliminated that predetermined rest schedule they had. That's out the window. He tries to put his best lineup that he possibly can out there every time. I mean, it feels like he's purposefully trying to put something together that can go out there and win every single night. There aren't any of those Sunday games where we won 5 on this homestand already. That's okay. He's going for every single conceivable victory. So that's a big change right there. What does that do to a team that's playing for that? I mean, does it change, you think, the perception in the room, or maybe less tendency to mentally prepare to take a day off when the coach isn't going to?
Yeah, well, what I like about it is, and it's interesting because I'd love to know, is this just the Kelly changing of the guard and he's doing this and Shelton could have, or have they pulled the reins back and told Kelly, we're going to let you manage more and do these things? I'm still curious to know that part of it. But what I do like about this is it gives the players more ownership, right? Like, if you're playing well, you're going to play. You don't have to have days off. We are going to play you. And I think as a player, that's all you can ask, is it not? Right? Like, you want to have ownership of it. And so I think that that's a big difference.
It is. I agree. I think it's been. What about the pitching? Because we're talking about the hitting, and we seem to take for granted that the pitching side of this is sustainable and it can just go on forever and ever. It has been really, really good, though. And the starting pitching, it's not even as they intended, I don't think. It's not as good as I think they hoped it would be. But, man, Mike Burrows just shoved for a month, honestly, since coming on. Andrew Heaney is Andrew Heaney, up and down. Bailey Falter missed the start due to rain, but aside from that, like, what else do you want from this pitching staff? 4 runs in 6 games, Jim. I mean, that stuff doesn't happen.
It doesn't. No, I don't think it's worked out at all like they thought it would. Clearly, I mean, they didn't even have Jared Jones for any of this. Bubba Chandler's nowhere to be seen yet. Um, it's not sustainable, clearly, because you're going to give up runs. But I think this group has shown enough that throughout this year, even that they're going to keep them in ball games for the most part. It's not going to be the pitching. And of course, health will play a big part down in this, but they've got some pieces coming back that haven't pitched in a while. So there's even some reinforcements coming. It's going to be very interesting to see how the trade deadline plays out, because I think there are arms that are coveted on the Pirates and how that will affect things down the road. And we're getting close to seeing how that plays out. We're not too far away from the trade deadline now.
All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, let's do Call Your Shot. I think in the spirit of talking about this hot streak, we should probably talk about some cause and effect with said hot streak, huh?
I think so.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Jim, Call Your Shot's going to be fun today because it's going to push the boundaries of what we would normally laugh off, but I don't think we should right now. I think what they just did deserves the conversation at least. So let's do it.
Time for Call Your Shot, where your questions, rants, and hot takes get the spotlight. I'm Taylor Rashapians, the #1 brand for Pittsburgh sports and the universal logo for the black and gold. Rock your Pirates, Pens, and Steelers year-round at Shapians.com. Each week we throw out a question here on Twitter. One lucky fan gets to take their shot, get featured right here on the show, win some Yins gear, and have some fun. So follow along with Gary, Jim, and I every week, and maybe you'll get a chance to win. This week we got a special milestone. Congrats, Gary and Jim, on 200 episodes. Boy, that's wild. You guys seen a lot of bad baseball, but hey, what a 6-game stretch we just saw. Maybe the tides are changing here after number 200, and we're going to raise the Jolly Rogers some more, hopefully in Seattle. This week's Call Your Shot comes from our boy, Elliot Zorro Recon. His question is, okay, crazy question, and personally I think no, but you guys do a ton of analysts, so is there a chance this team could squeak into the wild card slot? I had to pick it. I mean, it's been such a good stretch of games. Want to stay positive. I want to know, guys, do you guys think we'll make the wild card? If we keep this up, Donnie Ball's going. Anyways, congrats. What an awesome stretch you guys had. Love the show. Glad to be part of it. And I wish I had a beer right now, but no beer. And also, we're going to give away another $50 Yins gift card to one of you live viewers tonight as well. So comment hashtag 200 in the comments here, and we're going to pick a winner later today. And good luck, guys. Thanks for being part of the show. See ya.
Changing the game, spitting that flame. His name is I got that Pittsburgh sound, and I'ma always hold Pittsburgh down.
I like it, Jim. I like it. I like the question and the hashtag 200 to get that extra $50. Make sure you do it.
Absolutely. And let me just say this. Thanks to Taylor for having him be part of the show and supporting it. And while I'm at it, thank you to everybody that tunes in either live with us and comments or catches it, on later when they have time. We really appreciate the support. We started this because we felt like there wasn't enough good baseball talk, and we have found so many people that do enjoy it and want to interact and be part of it. And they add to it. So I'm just super appreciative of it. And I thought, why not add that here? Because I should have done it in the first segment.
No, absolutely. I mean, so many people that have been on this show, there's too many to name, but we've met people that we've actually like spent time in real life with outside of this show, like just because we got on with them so well. But it's a great community that we've been building for 200 episodes, man. And
That's right.
And it's
just
still going strong.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. So let's get to this crazy question, right? Because sounds like Elliot is enjoying the winning streak, and from what I understand on social media, Gary, you're not allowed to enjoy you're not allowed to enjoy the Pirates. You can't enjoy them if they're losing. You can't enjoy a win. You can't enjoy a winning streak. You just flat out, there's no way you are allowed to enjoy the Pirates. Am I getting all that right?
No, not without. I mean, if you're grasping at straws for how to make sure that you find a way to finish move those Pirates fans who are having a good time, make sure you tell them their favorite player will be a Yankee before too long. It is the finishing move. It's up, up, down, down, BA start, Jim.
That's how you maintain intellectual superiority over Pirate fans, I guess.
Yes. I mean, well, where could you go from there? I mean, conversation over, right?
I guess so.
It's almost as powerful as spend nutting, win nutting. When I hear that, I don't know about you, I go ahead and tuck tail and head on out.
Man, I'll tell you, it sure shuts me up, but not for the reasons they think.
No, 200 episodes and we're still talking about the same crap that we were talking about 200 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But the question though, we should answer it. 9 games out. 9 games out of the wild card, Jim. It seems daunting. I mean, like you're obviously talking about teams would have to fall and teams would have to, fall apart in certain areas. Pirates would have to keep moving at this clip for a while before I would really want to have this talk entirely. But let's say like they have a really good road trip here going into the All-Star game. What's a really good? There's 9 games, Jim. Let's say they go 7-2. Let's be nice. Let's not make them have to win all 9 of them, right? Let's say they go 7-2. Well, I mean, you're feeling okay going into the All-Star break. You're probably feeling like you could have a decent surge coming out of it and maybe get your ship back to like floating again at 500. From there, anything's possible. To me, this isn't something that I can just see linger, though. They can't just remain 9 games back in the wild card and keep pace for the rest of the season while they got to do something extraordinary.
Yeah, we look. 2 comments almost back to back, which was Tigers traded players at the deadline and made it. Tigers 10 back in August. They made it. So it's not impossible. Now, I would say that the Tigers are probably, and they've proven it this year, by the way, that it wasn't really a fluke, right? That they didn't just get super hot and weirded into a playoff spot. They're actually a really good ball club. But yeah, sure, knock yourself out. I you know what I mean? Like, do I think that kind of thing is going to happen? No. Am I going to sit and enjoy it? And if they keep making strides, absolutely.
The easy answer is no way. That's impossible, right? The easy answer is there's no way that's going to happen. That would be the way I would bet, especially if I was like putting my house up against it or something.
Right.
But I also would never have predicted what just happened in these last 6 games. You know what I mean? I thought going into the Mets and Cardinals, I thought the Pirates might be lucky to get out of that 500. Let alone do what they did to those teams. So,
well, the Cardinals have been playing good ball.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
This was not a team that was backing into this series. So, yeah. So, no, I just look. I do think this road trip right before the All-Star break is important for them. you at least want to come out, like you said, you can't just continue to tread water back.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a premature question? Sure. But I applaud Elliott for it because God forbid you want to have just an inkling of hope with this team. So good on him.
I mean, the Pirates are certainly playing these games like they matter, right? They're playing,
Right.
They didn't play those Cardinals. 2 of those games were really close. The one they won 1-0, obviously. But the game that they just won on Wednesday, that was 1-0 too until the 8th inning. Then the Pirates really went after them. They just got done playing 2 really tight playoff style ball games against a team that right now is in position to be in said playoffs. And they did what they did to them. They're capable of it. That's the thing. They're capable of it. The problem, I think, Jim, is to go on these long streaks is very difficult for a team that isn't doing it with power, because you're relying on maybe not Cruz and Reynolds carrying the day, but Cruz is going to have a day in that string where he does. And Reynolds is too. And you've got to have 3, 4, 5 guys even feeling it a little bit in a lineup in order to do what they've been doing. And that's difficult to maintain. I'm not saying they can't do it, because they are taking an approach that not many in the league are. They're very much so line drive oriented right now. They're not even trying for the home runs. They're coming, but not because they're trying for them. It's changing a little bit of what they have. They're using a recipe for players that they have, not players they wish they had. It's working.
Yeah, it's kind of like in football, you got to tailor your offense to your personnel, right? You have to. I think that's an apt comparison there. But flip side to that is, yeah, you need a couple games. You're going to have to win some games where you just hit a couple home runs. You know what I mean? Like, you're not always going to do the station to station. It's very hard to sustain that in baseball, especially in today's game with strikeout numbers the way they are and things of that nature. So, no doubt about it. To me, O'Neal Cruz, and we just talked about him, he's so key to this moving forward. I think if you get the O'Neal Cruz that we had earlier in the year, yeah, I'll listen to just about anything. But he's got to start doing what O'Neal Cruz can do on a more consistent basis.
Right. Let me address this one real quick. Let's see. What are the odds Reynolds is traded? Supposedly Kansas City is interested in him. Yeah, well, if you read that report, the reporter himself said that there was absolutely no traction to it. Like, in the report. Like, here's a couple things.
You really do have to read those things, because sometimes it's just like speculation.
They're just putting headlines out there to get interest. And no, let's put a cap on some of the stupid stuff going on with the Pirates right now. Okay, this team is not looking to subtract offense, especially controllable offense. Like, Reynolds is not going to get traded because they're not going to replace his offense. Do you understand? O'Neal Cruz is not going to get traded because they can't replace his offense. He may not be exactly what you want him to be yet, but he's a lot better than what you're probably going to get back, which is a prospect where you're going to start back at step one. We talk about guys like Ke'Bryan Hayes, and we're talking about being creative, about trying to move off of a guy that we're kind of locked into, and hopefully we can get more power at the position. We're not talking about moving on from him just for any old prospects or something. We want to repurpose the position. I think you have to understand what actually is happening. Even Mitch Keller. The only reason we suggest Mitch Keller is because Mitch Keller, we think, could bring back bats. Major league ready bats. And they owe him a bit of money, which we think they could also repurpose. They don't have to do it. They don't have to do any of that this time. But on the offensive side, the Reynolds and Cruz talk, man, put it in your pocket. It just is not going to happen. It's not.
Yeah, it's funny because when I think of like the trade deadline coming up, I just don't even think of those guys. Hayes, I do, because for obvious reasons. But other than that, I'm just solely thinking about what kind of pitching they can move and what kind of bats they can get back for them. I just, do crazy things happen at the trade deadline sometimes? Sure. But and I don't want to oversimplify it. I just think that it's really that simple this time around. They will make moves for bats, but it
You
will
got to
come
ask
from the
yourself a
pitching
simple
side.
question, too. Is the team trying to get better in 2026, or are they trying to get better at some point in the future? Paul Skeens tells you everything you need to know. They're going to try to get better the next year because they realize they should have gotten better this year. And
Well, this is the thing with them, right? They're always late on it, but
Yeah.
yes.
yeah, I just, it's the Reynolds thing. Just no, it's just
I
not
just
going to
don't-
happen.
If I put my things down about least likely to happen, Reynolds is way down there.
Yeah, Cruz is too. I mean,
Yeah.
You can't create a gaping hole in what already resembles Swiss cheese and pretend that you're actually fixing things. Okay. The lineup is not a place where you're going to start donating blood because you're almost out. All right. Like, you're going to do that from the pitching side, even if it hurts worse. Even if I can justify that Mitch Keller is a better player than O'Neill Cruz and Brian Reynolds, that's not what you're going to do. You're
Sure.
going for somebody that looks like they already have one foot in the majors, slightly more entrenched than like Spencer Horwitz if you're trading somebody as big as Mitch Keller. But as the other side of this coin, I keep seeing people like, if you're going to trade Bednar, you better get a major league bat back. You won't. Like, you're going to get a prospect. You're going to get a AAA guy or somebody that's got a couple weeks of experience in the majors back. That's why those Reynolds aren't enough to fix this. That's why we keep talking about like some of these bigger chess pieces. I mean, Jim, I'm rambling at the mouth. What do you got?
Well, no, aside from that with Reynolds is like, it's not like Reynolds is having like the MVP season and you just can't say no to what someone's going to be throwing at you. Like, you wouldn't even be dealing really from a position of strength there. So
Right.
like that would hurt you as well. So like, it doesn't make sense on a lot of different levels if you even want to take it to that, which is they just can't afford to give away offense. So I just feel like
Rob. Poor
What?
Rob. He lives in a coverage area shared by the Pirates, Orioles, and Nats. The trade deadline goofiness is all over. So I bet he's listening to people talking about they're going to be trading Wood and like all kinds of nonsense. Thanks, Jim. Jim Rosati from North Shore Nines here. Appreciate it, brother.
Jimmy, thank you, sir.
Let's see. Yeah, I think, Jim, all in all, the trade deadline, does it get affected by a streak like this? No. If you do what we talked about on this road trip and you get yourself into like, a real good double dragon drop kick away from 500, then maybe you give yourself the run up to the deadline to see if there's a way that you want to change your mind about some things. But to me, this team should kind of be in acquisition mode one way or another. Yeah, you have Reynolds you can move off and everything, but this is a team that should be looking to add to this team regardless of what's going on with the standings, really. If you ask me, because you're trying to build on for 2026, that's what I want you to do regardless.
Right. And I think you mentioned this maybe last show, which is, sure, pay attention to this year, but you have to be paying attention to next year. Like that's really what this comes down to. Does it make you better for next year? If it does, then I think yes. You do what needs to be done, even if it hurts a little bit. But other than that, no. Like if we're just going to repeat the lines that the Pirates are going to get some single A prospects for some of these guys, then they won't do it. And we can argue about their intelligence all day. They're not that stupid. So, they're going to make moves that hopefully make sense for next year. And that's what they should be concentrating on anyway.
I mean, two other things I just want to throw out there about trades, like in general. The Pirates probably are not going to trade their number 1 or number 2 prospect. They won't. And it doesn't mean that they're not all in or they're not serious. It just means that they're like everyone else in baseball and think that generally that's a really stupid thing to do. The Pirates won't acquire anybody's number 1 or number 2 prospect unless they were to sell a player such as Mitch Keller. You know what I mean? That's the kind of way I want you to think about things. Okay.
Yeah. No, look, I would prefer not to trade Mitch Keller too. I know a lot of people are like, which is so funny that now people don't want to trade him because they wanted him released how many years ago. But he really is the guy that can get you back what you're asking for.
Right.
So like that's why I think we both naturally come back to Mitch Keller, right? Like he's really the name that can get you that stuff. So that's why we keep talking about it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm cooling off on it too, because the more I look at the scene, the more I just keep coming to the realization that you're going to wind up in the off season with this. And I should also say there's other ways they can handle things. Like, yeah, they could go and spend more money. So, I mean, like, yeah, they absolutely could. They can go and fill holes that way too and not have to trade Mitch and all. Yeah, totally. We just know they're not good, so I'm not going to like.
Right. I've accepted that. And so I'm trying to create it elsewhere. And like, which is like, I'm past it, right? Like, that's what I'm expecting. They're not going to commit financially. So how do I get it some other way?
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or, we spend an off season going like, well, I loved James' idea last week about Kyle Schwarber. I think something like that would be great. If the Pirates would go and do that, of course I would love it. Of course it would be a better move than trading Mitch Keller to get a bat. Of course it would. It's a much better way to do it. I just have no faith they will do it. Until I see them do something like that. I'm sorry, I'm going to work with what I kind of know, and what I know is if we're going to get something like that, it's going to be a trade.
Yeah, I'm too pragmatic to keep hanging on to that stuff, and that's why I'm so with the Bednar thing at this point. Like, man, I just want to have access to some salary, some money somewhere.
Greg says the guys on FT, which I honestly don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Greg, what is FT, please?
Said yesterday that Mitch Keller isn't worth as much as we fans think he is. I immediately shut off the show. I don't really care about that. To me, it's more if he doesn't return exactly what I want, I see no reason to trade him. So I'm just a greedy son of a bitch that has the only commodity in town, and I'm not selling it unless I get exactly what I asked for. That's all. So I don't really care what shows. Oh, foul territory. Okay. Well, there you go. Those guys know an awful lot. They're friends with Rowdy, who everyone hates. So,
wasn't there some Rowdy news? Well, first of all, he got DFA'd.
He got DFA'd, yeah.
And then did he declare he's playing for like someone in the World Baseball Classic or something like that? Can you do that when you're DFA'd? I suppose you could. I don't know.
I have no idea. I haven't paid any attention to it. I kind of stopped paying attention to his name after somebody suggested to me that we pick him up.
Well, my son has the same baseball sickness as I do, so that's where I got that information from. I apologize if it's not super accurate.
I'll tell you what, Jim, we promised people that we were going to do the draft and the All-Star game just a little bit. We have to do that. So let's leave ourselves plenty of time for the second segment, huh?
Sure.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Jim, how do you piss off baseball fans?
Is this a trick question?
You tell them that no matter what they want, they're going to get a high school shortstop or a pitcher drafted one way or another.
Well,
this year
then
on
I've
their
got
team.
good news for you. There's a lot of shortstops being thrown around right now.
Yeah. The best way I could put this, because when you're picking sixth, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where you're going to be, especially when the board itself is really fluid. I don't think there's a clear-cut number one in this one. There's one that I personally think, like, if we were number one, I would select, and I'll tell you who I think that is. But as far as the Pirates, I think if I'm them, I'm really hoping that Ava Arquette falls down. That's probably who I'd want to get. It's a college bat. I would think it could get here quicker. If I'm Ben Cherington, I want something that's going to help a little quicker. And I don't think he'd be a stretch at 6. But Ethan Holiday, I guess I'd take a swing at too if he falls, and I think he will. So, like, if I had to guess right now, I think I would probably go Billy Carlson, a high school shortstop out of California. I think that's probably who will be there.
Yeah, it's not real clear cut, and it's not a super sexy draft. Like, I think, not that there's not some good players here, and by the way, there's some really good arms. I think we're talking like 3 left-handed pitchers could go in the top 10, 15.
Yeah.
You've got Seth Hernandez, the righty high schooler kid, who I know some people really want. I'm a little leery about high school pitchers. But yeah, you said the name that I was like, man, if they could just he could just get to them at 6 would be the Arquette kid, because he seems to be the most advanced.
I keep saying the Irish kid that Gregory brought up, and it's not that I don't like the kid. I just think there's no world in which he wouldn't be a reach at 6. I think he's more in the 10 to 20 range as far as prospects go. I don't hate the kid or nothing. I mean, he's got power, so I like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think like that many scouts can't be that wrong usually. If they put him in that top 10 consistently, I would be with you. But I think, he's probably a stretch. Seth Hernandez, on the other hand, most people kind of have him towards the top of the board, or I've seen him drop all the way down to like almost 20. So there's definitely some question marks there. Let me just get to who I think is the number one overall, Jim, because I just don't think it's particularly close. I really think that it's Cade Anderson from LSU. I mean, I just think he's the best left-handed pitcher. He just seems to be the most advanced. I think he'll probably move. I honestly can see the Angels going with a pitcher too. So
yeah, like that will be the interesting part, is if like there's a little bit of run on pitching.
Right.
Then things get better, I think, for the Pirates. I agree with Rosati when he said Holiday won't fast fall past Colorado. I actually
I would think that's probably true as well, but I would think that if he and Arquette are available, like say the Mariners take a pitcher, okay? If the top three take a pitcher, I could see the Rockies taking Holiday, or I could see them taking Arquette. And then who knows what happens with the Cardinals? They need pitching real bad, right? And there is a lot more pitching. I could see them going pitching, and that could make Holiday and or Arquette fall to the Pirates. That's the only way the top three on the board have to go pitching.
Yeah, and I would think that maybe if someone really fell in love with Seth Hernandez too, right? Is there any world that the Pirates take Seth Hernandez?
Yeah, I could see it. They've done great with pitching. So, I think a lot of boards have Seth Hernandez as the second rated prospect. Boy, if he's fallen, yeah. I mean, the problem with him, as far as I understand it, is he's got a few control issues, real hard thrower, but he's going to be 19 or something at draft time. And I think a lot of people don't like that if you're just out of high school. That's a year late. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's pretty advanced.
It doesn't
which
mean that he's not advanced. It means he's way more advanced than the competition that he's built his reputation on. Is kind of the thinking.
Fair point.
Doesn't mean it's right. Just means like that's kind of the traditional thinking on why you don't like the 19-year-old there. That said, I like Seth Hernandez, but I'm seeing him drop down a lot of boards. That makes me feel like there's a little bit more of that question mark there than I'd like. What do you think of Eli Willits? A couple people that have mocked him to the Pirates. I think I'd rather have Billy Carlson if I was going to take a high school shortstop.
Yeah, there seems to be like a good crop of like true shortstops in here. I even think that they talk about Arquette like that, which is, even though he's a big guy, he can actually really play the position, and they see him staying at that position.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I wonder how you differentiate between some of the shortstops, because they all seem to be very like closely like ranked and rated between Willits and JoJo Parker, and there was another guy
just popped
too.
that in here.
Billy Carlson. There's not a lot separating them, so I don't know.
Bottom line, Pirates are either going to get a pitcher or they're going to get a shortstop. That's all there is to it, right? And I'd say it's probably likely to be a high school shortstop if they're going to get one, because I just don't think Arquette will be there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen his name pop up too much, and that he might be gone before then. But he's who I will hold out hope for.
What do you think? Do you think it's imperative that they get a hitter one way or another? Or do you think if a pitcher is there that, like, let's say that, well, Seth Hernandez is number 2 ranked, like, prospect by a lot of rankings. A lot of people think he's up there. Or let's say for some reason, like, Liam Doyle is there and that's somebody you're interested in. That's another big lefty, right? Do you take the pitcher? You've done great with pitching. Do you just take what you're good at? Or do you stretch because you think you need offense?
I think everyone likes to say, well, best available and you don't reach and all this stuff. But like, if guys are close to what you have them on your big board or whatever,
right?
I don't think that's a stretch. I think that's the trade-off. If you have them really close and you're looking for something that offensively, and you project that person to be someone that can be there quicker for you, I don't have a problem with that. I think what it comes down to is like whenever you really reach on somebody that's 10 slots below, and then you're still taking that guy well, then yes, I think that's a foolish way to do it.
So at 6, you're kind of at the mercy of what goes on in front of you. So maybe we should do it as like the people that we would have a hard time passing on if they were there, right?
Mhm.
So for me, and this is in order because I guess this would be if I was picking first, right? And I got to choose from what was there, right? I would probably go Cade Anderson first. I think I'd go Arquette too. I really would. That would be my second choice. If
No,
I
wait.
had,
Are you saying? Are you
if I
saying
got,
you're?
I'm
Got it.
sitting at 6, but
Okay.
I'm dreaming like any of these could fall.
Okay.
Which order? And I'm only going to pick 3, but I think that's my order. Cade Anderson would be my first choice. Arquette would probably be my second. And then I think Jamie Arnold out of Florida State would probably be my third.
Okay. You like the lefties?
I always like lefties, yeah.
Yeah. I probably slant more towards looking for. I don't think Cade Anderson's going to be there regardless. So I don't know that Ethan Holiday would be. But I would probably go toward the offense if I had the chance, being Holiday or Arquette. And if either one of those aren't there, then I'm taking the best pitcher that I think is available.
Yeah, that's probably the fairest way to do it, Jim. And there's our non-draft expert look at the draft. I mean, that's kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah, we're not experts on anything, but we're really not experts on the draft. But that's where we see it, Gary.
Well, for sure. I mean, although my other podcast thinks I am an expert, so I have to keep up appearances there, Jim. So
maybe
over
in
there, I am an
400
expert.
episodes. 400 episodes, maybe we get a plaque or something that says expert on it. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get a frankincense record or something like Cartman did on South Park when he got the Christian record. Yeah,
there you go.
So let's talk All-Star Game a little bit, Jim. Do we get anybody in except for Skeens?
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, right? Because why not? I'm driving to my son's baseball practice, so why not think about baseball on my way there?
Of course.
Right. Yeah, I think it could just be Skeens. So many weird things happen, right? Like with injuries and people not being available or turns and rotation.
There could be some fill-ins, and maybe we'll do that for round 2. Let's just talk about who we think has a shot initially. I think that's Skeens, and then the bullpen guys, they do pick. I gotta be real. From the National League, David Bednar's got a very good chance of getting selected by the manager to be the closer. He has been great. He just got named the reliever of the month in the National League. I think he's got himself a shot to be an all-star again.
He entered my mind very quickly, which tells you how well he's pitched. I really can't believe we're even in this spot.
Actually, yeah, look, Martin said the same thing here. Maybe Bednar.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think it's a fair point. Which would be great, by the way, considering what just happened. So it's tough. I'm not sure that I see anybody else that, Gary, is there anybody else that you can think of that maybe could sneak onto it?
I think Cruz's cold streak was too much.
Yeah.
I don't think that his OPS is to the point where you can make light of his average. Like if he had an OPS of like 860 and he was batting 205 with 15 home runs, he's got a good chance to be like a reserve that replaces somebody. But I don't think he'll be anybody's first choice, like to replace anybody at this point, right? I think if anything, he'd be a freakish add-on for the home run derby, and I'm not sure I want him to do it anyway.
That's it's interesting because, like, I think everybody, at least baseball fans in general, love to see the physical displays, right? And O'Neill Cruz certainly fits that bill of, like, exit velocity, home run distance, power, all those things. So could he sneak onto it? Yeah, but I do think that this last month and a half has really, it's a shame because he was on pace, I thought, to maybe even comfortably make it, but this may have shot that down.
Yeah, the other outside shot that I'll kind of put out there for a last minute replacement type, Andrew McCutchen. He's been really, really good as DH. He could just be a pinch hitter. I could see that. I could see him getting almost a victory lap selection to the All-Star game as a replacement for somebody, and not a guy that's going to complain if he doesn't get an at bat or anything, but he would add to the proceedings and be just about everyone's favorite interview.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about O'Neill Cruz and Kutch because baseball does funny things with this stuff. Sometimes it is about the it's not just about numbers, right? Sometimes they do things like this. Usually it's for players that are really established, but I could see, let me put it this way, Cruz or Kutch, who would you put a bet on? If the Pirates are going to have two people represent them and Skeens is one of them.
Kutch.
Really?
Kutch's numbers are better. Yeah, I would think it'd be Kutch, and I think it would be mostly because, again, I just don't think that anybody would be upset if he didn't get in the game. He's one of those guys who's been there and done that. He'd be happy just to have the experience and everything and be there. And boy, he could take a lot of pressure off of Paul being the only representative too of the Pirates. He can handle a lot of the interviewing for him. If I'm the Pirates, I'd be lobbying for it to be Kutch. I'd be like, please take Kutch. This dude's going to be on red carpets and crap and like dragging this little blonde stick figure around. Like, like I want Kutch there to like take a little bit of it away from him. You know what I mean? Like that's all I can think though, Jim. I don't think it goes much deeper than that. There just aren't a lot of choices. The futures is going to be fun. Connor Griffin and Valdez are going to be in that. That's going to be fun. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, anything with Connor Griffin, and at this point, I usually try to either tune in or see what happens. So, yeah, I do think it's a shame that Cruz fell off, though. Just real quick, going back to that, because I think, it would have been. I think Cruz is somebody that everybody wants to see be that kind of star, right?
Well, we do anyway, yeah.
No, but I think like if you're a baseball fan in general, like Ellie, right?
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with Ellie. I know he's a Red, and you don't want to see him do things, but like I cheer for guys that are amazing talents because it's just so special to watch, right? So I just thought it would have been cool to see Skeens and Cruz in that situation for the Pirates. That's all.
Well, speaking of Skeens, is he going to start or is Zach Wheeler going to start? Zach Wheeler's got an argument, man, for real.
Yeah, and didn't Zach Wheeler say this is it this year, or is it next year?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure recently Zach Wheeler said that something would, whether it was this year or next year, was going to be his last year. I'm furiously Googling it.
I don't care. Like, what do you think?
Well, no, but Gary, that stuff matters though, because if it is, they might give him the nod.
Okay. I mean, I think. Do you think that it's an argument at least? Do you think it's that close? A lot of people wanted to just kind of hand it to Skeens. This is just very recently I've seen the argument that it maybe should be Wheeler.
No, I still think it should be Skeens, but I'd be okay with it if it is Zach Wheeler's last year. And
Eric says Charlie Morton said that 10 years ago too.
well, this is true, but I'm just saying, like it does sometimes matter.
I mean, that's one question. Whenever you're done doing your research on the fly, you can go ahead and chime in with what you think's going to happen then with that. How about
No.
the home run derby in general? There's a lot of players that don't want to do it anymore. And I think there's been a lot of people wondering if it was the right thing for the health of these players to be swinging the bat the way they have been in these home run derbies. What about maybe going back to the old format where you get like 10, 15, 20 outs and just take your cuts leisurely and see what you can do? Don't you think that would be better? Like if we went back to the way it used to be instead of this like round robin of how many times you can swing in 2 minutes?
You mean the home run derby on meth? Like, I can't stand it. It's like, can we not just enjoy the swings that they do under on semi-normal circumstances?
What's
and
the
watch
fun
the ball
if you-
travel?
What's the fun if they can't pimp them and like you can't like watch them like fly and everybody's going, oh, what about Junior with the backwards hat and everybody's like,
do.
oh my god.
Gary, you got to be on like 8 screens and have ESPN the Ocho, like watching where they land, because you're not going to see it on the regular broadcast. Can we just not overcomplicate it? It's a beautiful thing, just to let it play out like it is. I would go to the players and say, hey, what do we need to do to keep you guys in this and keep you guys engaged and be comfortable with it? That like start there, because you don't want it to lose its. You don't want it to go the way of like the
They're
slam
doing
dunk.
that this year, Martin. They're going back to their uniforms this year.
Yeah, you don't want it to go the way of like the slam dunk championship, the slam dunk competition. Like, find ways to keep it relevant and keep it enjoyable, because once the players are engaged, fans are right there too.
I just
By
think
the way-
once you have
By the way, Zach Wheeler contract ends at the end of 2027 season. So I was talking out my ass again, Gary.
well, that doesn't mean he didn't say it or allude to it. You know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah,
to finish your contract out. Like Eric says here, all the memorable home run derby moments are from the old school format. I completely agree. I think they've ruined it. I really do. I think they've ruined the spirit of the whole thing. It used to be like, you were still making swing decisions. If you got a bad pitch, you didn't have to swing just because you're on some weird artificial timer. Like I miss that. I want to see that, and I want to see the people that hit these home runs participate. Like I don't want to see guys like Ellie De La Cruz saying I don't want to be in it. I don't want to see guys like Aaron Judge saying no, I'm not going to do that. Like that's not, because they think it's bad for them. I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see guys like going up there and like taking purposeful hacks and knowing like that it's not okay if you hit one and line it to left. You got to hit it out, right? That's what I loved about it. It was a little bit more than just how much power you had.
It's funny because baseball is so timing based, right? That like guys are legitimately concerned about it. Do I think it's gone to the extreme? Yeah, probably, with all the analytics and everything that goes into it nowadays, because guys before certainly didn't care about that, and all the stars participated. But maybe Gary, are we just living in the past? Like we think Frank Thomas and Ken Griffey Jr. and
Listen,
McGuire
the game
and
itself
Sosa.
sucks. Okay, I think all professional sports have this problem at this point. They all suck. All of their Pro Bowls and the All-Star games, they all stink. They're not competitive anymore. And the only thing that baseball had above the other ones is it was a non-contact sport. So you could keep that all-star game some facsimile of actual competitive baseball. They kept this dumb rule in where like it has something to do with the home field in the World Series, which has added absolutely nothing to it. You don't even hear them mention it anymore as why the team got home field in the World Series. They don't even mention it anymore.
I remember when they came out with that, I was like, "Oh God, don't put that on there."
Yeah, but it's just in passing now. They're like, well, by virtue of winning the All-Star game, the Astros get home field. And that's the last you hear of it. It means nothing. Nobody talks about it in the build-up to the All-Star game. Players aren't pointing at each other from across the chalk, yelling, well, we'll take you down. We're getting home field this year, Yins.
Yeah, or just like the league pride, right? Like the National League versus the American League. Like
they're all
AFC,
brothers now.
Yeah, or AFC versus NFC. Like nobody cares about that. And
you don't see people chirping at second base anymore at each other. And remember Brandon Phillips used to bark at every single player that the Pirates got to second base. And like where's that? Free agency has robbed us of that dislike, right? And interleague play has taken all the special out of seeing what each side of the league had to offer, because you'd never get that opportunity normally. And now they're crammed together in one place. We finally get to see Randy Johnson face Ryan Sandberg, whoever the hell it is, right?
Right.
Like you don't have that anymore, because listen, we're going to be in Seattle tomorrow. I don't need to wait to see Paul Skeens face Cal Raleigh. I'm going to see it tomorrow. Like I'm going to see it this weekend or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the other point, right? Like not everybody got to see this stuff all the time. So it became a much bigger spectacle when you got to see them nationally, right? And now, yeah, you don't see every game nationally, but if you wanted to, you could, and you certainly see a lot more than you did before. So, you get to see Shohei Ohtani a bunch. He's on TV a lot. Like you don't have to wait for something special. So I don't know how you get all that back or any of it back. It's just a shame that like the home run derby, they can't simplify it enough to like let guys still be a part of it and not feel like it's going to screw them up or injure them in the process.
I mean, even the pitching isn't in the spirit of the game anymore. Like it used to be, like if you were the starting pitcher in the All-Star game, you were probably going to go 3 innings, right? And get to showcase what it looked like going through the entire lineup. Well, now, like the only way Paul Skeens gets to face these 3 hitters is if they're in the first inning, right? Or maybe they give him 2 if they're really feeling froggy. Like, I just think they've changed everything with the game to the point where it's pointless to do, and we should just turn all of these into lists. Just make them all lists and then get together for some kind of lighthearted skills competition and call it a day. You know what I mean? Like,
it seems, it seems like, and I know we're running along here, so we'll have to go, but it does seem like every league has tried different things though, right? Like, and nothing really seems to work. Maybe we're just past it. And
at the end of the day, if there is no spirit of competition, it's very, very difficult for me to watch. I guess like spring training I'll watch because that's an exhibition, or even like preseason football or preseason anything. That's a little different. I know it's exhibition ball, so I know it's a little more lighthearted, but there's still people trying their ass off to win a job, or, putting everything they have on the field, like, and on a special teams moment that means nothing in the fourth quarter of the first preseason game, because to them, it's the biggest moment of their lives. Well, there's nobody in this All-Star game that it's the biggest moment in their lives. You know what I mean? Like even Paul Skeens, this is going to be old hat this year. He's done it already. He's not going to care as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny, like, well, Tony, boy, I don't want to butcher your last name, Tony, but he said the best baseball is played in the World Baseball Classic now, unfortunately.
He's right.
Maybe they should just well, we saw what hockey was like. That was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
When they did their thing. So like maybe we should just transition to that in those sports. It seems to work better. It seems like people care about that more, and certainly for country seems to still matter. Thank God.
Yeah, and the only thing then is it can't be in the middle of the season because you can't have people. Nobody's going to let their pitchers do it.
Right. It changes that dynamic of it, but I mean, at least at that point, okay, like it seems to at least matter. You're still getting the game's best, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, Jim, this was great, man. Happy 200th, brother. Thank you for all of your wisdom over the years. Honestly, no, I really mean it. I really mean the wisdom that you bring to some of these discussions. I mean, I definitely have always needed the counterbalance, and you've always been there for it, and it's been great.
Well, we make each other think, so hopefully we make our listeners think and our friends think, because like when we're having great discussions and questions just keep popping up, that's when this show's the best.
All right, and I'll pile through these comments and pick somebody that did the hashtag 200, and Taylor or I will get a hold of you somehow, probably on YouTube, I'm guessing. So that'll be fun. Yeah, man, next week, Travis Snyder, make sure you get your questions in for him. If you've got any kids in youth sports or know anybody that have kids in youth sports and you just got some questions, make sure you get them to us and we'll get them on to him. Should be a lot of fun.
And remember, it's not just about the kids, it's about how do you deal with stuff, right? Like, how am I parenting this situation? So like, it's not just about fixing Johnny, it's about fixing Jimmy and Gary. So
yeah. All right, thanks everybody, you're the best.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.